Okay, gonna record a quick patch overview thing here. First of all, that's a lot of heroes. Second of all, they're talking about mana here, and basically they want mana to be meaningful, but not always. Mostly in the early game it's meaningful. It doesn't have to be the same for every single hero, so certain heroes' mana will matter more than others. Seems pretty obvious that's kind of the way it is now. And they like that there are talents so that if you feel like mana is particularly an issue, or that you want or would need to be uh, using your abilities more often. For example, if you're like the only wave clear hero on a team instead of having like two or three, um, that you can talent into that to mitigate it or whatever. So they give some examples of Malfurion, Tychus, and ETC all being good, middle of the pack for mana management, which I think I would probably agree with, that all those three of those heroes seem relatively fine, where mana's not really ever like a huge issue. You don't feel like they're just like super mana hungry on every single ability like Tychus was, or not Tychus, sorry, Tyrael was. Um, but they changed Tyrael relatively recently as well, so he's a little bit better, stuff like that. So let's go through this. So first of all, in Nubarak, he's probably the best overall tank in the meta right now. Basic attack damage reduced a little bit. That shouldn't really affect him too much. Impale damage is reduced. Burrow damage is reduced. So he's just going to do less damage on his own. The main benefit of Anubarak is his CC, though, and not really his damage on his own. So I don't think this should affect him too much. The Legion of Beetles trait, their spell armor gets reduced, and Cocoon has a cooldown increase. Yeah, this makes sense. I don't think this will really affect him too much. I think he'll still be good. So these are like fairly reasonable nerfs. Nudge him down a little bit. I think they probably could have made this to like 80 or 90 seconds, and that'll probably put him in a better place. Um, and I think they could have done more than just reduce some of his early game damage. That's about it. Let's see. Frozen Tempest. So Arthas does have a little bit of mana issues. They're reducing the mana cost here and here. That's pretty good. Let's see. I don't remember his talents, but I believe this is the talent where you have to slow people for like 150 seconds or something. But that's fine. Fire Stomp mana cost reduced. Oh no, increased. This shouldn't affect him too much. I think he'll still be fine. Groundbreaker mana cost increased. Also shouldn't affect him too much. Stitches Slam mana cost increased. Also shouldn't affect him too much. I think the one that this affects most is Garrosh. Obviously these are like 5 mana increases, and this is a 10. Fire Stomp does get used a lot, but maybe Diablo will run out of mana a little bit more often, but he also has like Soul Shield and is getting globes and stuff like that anyway. Same with Stitches, so I don't think it'll matter as much for these two heroes. Garrosh has a little bit more trouble getting globes, and he doesn't have as good of like wave clear as Stitches, so I think this will hurt Garrosh the most, and he's still strong in solo queue, but not as good in coordinated games, so Garrosh probably goes down a tiny bit, but I don't think those mana changes really affect him too much. Let's see. Dark Swarm duration increased on that talent. Reduces the cooldown of Burrow. That seems actually quite strong, reducing the cooldown of Burrow, because Burrow is essentially an ice block. So reducing the cooldown of it is quite strong, I think. Isolation mana cost reduced. That actually helps him a lot. And then adaptation cooldown reduced and mana cost reduced. I still don't think adaptation is the pick. Isolation is so strong, and taking 30 mana off of it is pretty nice. Slow enemy heroes by 15% for 0.75 while Brush Stalker's movement speed is active. Now also shows crit kickers. I assume this is just the crit text numbers. Most popular talents making changes should open up new build paths. I would have to double check at what the Hawkeye has at level 13, but I don't think his builds will probably change, at least in coordinated play. Maybe this gets better in like a solo queue environment or something. And Burrow, I think the level 4 talent is more likely to change than level 13. This doesn't seem to be that significant to me. This is just like 1 or 2 more ticks of the damage on it, so it's not a too huge deal. He already wave clears just plenty fine. Mana cost reduced, mana cost increased. Okay, well those basically cancel each other out, I think, sort of. So that's kind of weird, a weird change to do it. It makes his mana usage different when trading, I guess, if you are winning trades versus losing trades and stuff. I don't know. It's fine. No longer has a quest component. He gains bonus damage and slow when picking the talent. Well, if it's no longer a quest and they only reduce the damage by a little bit, that seems a lot better. Interesting. Bulwark of Flame, physical armor amount increased. That's very significant, actually. Maximum charge is increased from 4 to 6. This is actually very significant. And then no longer requires removing a disabling effect in order to be healed. I mean, comparing this to 75 armor, like, this is a really strong talent now. This is actually really, 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 really strong. Main tank Imperious might become a thing just off of this talent, honestly. Let's see. Flash of Anger, damage increased. Now shows crit kickers when this damage procs. And the cooldown increase. That's a big cooldown increase of 7 seconds. He's performing exactly where you would like him to. Really, because he's winning a lot of matchups in the offlane. Win rate of exactly 50% at high level play. I mean, that to me does not seem like an exactly balanced hero, and that's maybe counterintuitive, but whatever. I won't elaborate or rant on that for too much. He does suffer from pick rate issues in earlier tiers. On talents, I think they mean. And by earlier tiers, I don't think they mean lower skill level tiers. I think they mean talent tiers. Rather than only nerfing the talents that are often picked, we are instead looking to buff the alternatives and hoping they see more play. Well, yeah, that should be pretty much your mentality most of the time. Unless, like, you would have to way overbuff the talents to be insane in order to make them competitive. In that case, you should probably nerf the other one. Tormented Souls. When Tormented Souls is cast and when it expires, reset the cooldown of Wraith Strike. When it's cast and when it expires. So you can W, press R, W again. So you can get two Ws off as a burst. And he has the talent that makes W spread the thing, which obviously isn't really helpful if you're pressing R, but he also has, it deals pretty significant percent health damage. And if you're getting 2 bursts of that and resetting the cooldown, he's kind of going to play almost like a Zeratul with like Vorpal or Wormhole, I think. Because he can W in on somebody, pop R, and then as long as he has a mark on a different target, he can just like blink back and forth across a team fight. He can only do it essentially twice, and then you can technically, it depends on when the cooldown, if W is back up. What's the duration on this here? I'll look on my other monitor here, find out some detail on this, because this is actually could be pretty significant. The problem is Last Rites is still so good as an ultimate. So the cooldown of W is... It doesn't say here. That's annoying. Alright, well the cooldown doesn't say. Is there anything that reduces the W cooldown? So the talent that it deals damage is at level 16. The talent that it spreads is at level 7. You also have the range talent at level 1. Hesitant to give more mechanics like healing, armor, and lifesteal. More options for himself. Move around the battlefield. I didn't see this in an AMA question, so I must have completely missed this comment, I guess. I think I remember reading a question that they were asking about Tormented Souls. I don't think the range will matter that much, though. The range is pretty decent, level 1 already. So yeah, this could maybe be a more late game, like, tank killer type thing. I mean, Malthael's already good at tank killing. This interests me. This intrigues me. I would want to play around with this a little bit. This could have potential at being cool. Alright. Adjusted Rexar's talents to be positioned in the same order as other heroes. Q talents on top, then W, then E. Please do this with every hero. Let's say Easy Prey. Bonus damage no longer applies to Misha Charge. Well, then they killed that talent. What? Okay, well you just go the Q talent now all the time for wave clear. Yeah, Bird of Prey is the name of it. Yeah, okay. Well, like this is what made that talent good was that it gave you wave clear. So I'm pretty sure you just pick Bird of Prey now every time. That's a really weird, dumb change in my opinion. Like I get that it overlaps too much, but that's because Rexar's basic abilities are so basic and overlap too much. Like Q and Misha Charge both basically have the same like damage skill shot pattern, and they both wave clear pretty much in the same effective manner. Wave clearing with Misha is a lot safer than using Rexar, but also Rexar as an offlaner being able to solo stuff with this bonus damage thing, like this will help him solo stuff, but I don't know. I liked him being in the meta for once. It was neat. And I don't know. I don't like this change personally. I think they should have changed the Q talent to be something else more interesting or something. I don't even know. I don't know what I would make the change as, but I'm not a fan of this change. I would have done something else. Let's see. Mana cost increased. That's actually pretty significant. Bonus damage per hit increased. Enemies hit required for quest completion reduced. That's very good. Viking's Quest. Bonus damage reduced. So this is nerfing Twin Blades, and this is buffing the non-Twin Blades stuff. I think mainly Colossal Smash. I don't remember if Taunt Variant took that at level 1. Outperforming other options on the tiers go to talent when picking Twin Blades, which are also seeing perform too well at lower and mid levels of play. Yeah, because it's like super straightforward to play. And yeah, that makes sense to me. Good. They could do the same thing as this change on Samuro, and that would help fix a lot of his problems at high levels of 1 or 2-shotting or 3-shotting backline heroes with crits, but okay. Mana cost reduced. Let's see. Quest requirement reduced. When completed, reduces the mana cost of Spectral Scythe. Well, the problem is Spectral Scythe is on such a long wind-up thing that you can't really reliably hit it. I think this is also the triple Q talent thing, which also, like, it's really hard to hit all 3 of those on one hero, I think, unless they're in melee. And I'm not even sure if it works that way, where you get the burst of all 3, or if it's only dealing the damage of one. I don't remember. I don't play Zul, but his mana usage, like, it was kind of high, but it wasn't ever too bad, because normally he would be rotating between lanes and getting globes as well. So this is just like fine. Doesn't really change him much. Increases radius by 15 if it hits an enemy hero. Increases its healing by 40% if it hits 2 or more enemy heroes. Increases its healing by 80%. Physical armor amount increased. That's very significant. Sacred Ground. I mean, you still, like, you would have to be facing a very auto attack heavy team, I think. Or like, wait, no, this is just this. I was getting these 2 talents mixed up. This is regular armor. This is physical armor. Okay. Yeah, I'm still not sure ever where you would take Sacred Ground compared to her other ult in an offlane matchup, and I don't think it helps her become a main tank or anything either. Her level 1 is getting more interesting, but her level 10 doesn't change. That's okay. The level 1, this physical armor thing maybe changes into certain offlane matchups. Or maybe you can play her now more like an Arthas type thing to counter an auto attack heavy team outside of the offlane. Against like Raynor or Greymane or something, but I don't think it'll change her playstyle too much. Cooldown reduction reduced, that's very significant. That's nerfing her grenade, I believe, talent there. While aim down sights is active, Sleep Dart now pierces all enemy heroes. Well, that's just now really good. Okay, well now instead of going grenade at level 4, you go Sleep Dart at level 4. Okay. Night Terrors, damage increased from 8 to 10% max health. Yeah, you still pick the other grenade talents because they didn't touch them. Now you just pick Sleep Dart talent at 4. That's it. This is like, okay, I agree with this note, but you didn't do, you only changed one talent tier. There's 2 other talent tiers where you still pick the exact same thing. Like, okay, weird. You do more changes. More. I mean, I get that they maybe don't want to do all the changes at once and completely shift her entirely, but it's fine. Healing mat increased. That's a good buff to Q. Cooldown reduced. That's also very good. Mana cost reduced. Also very good. These are very significant buffs, even though they probably don't look like it. Lesser healing potion amount increased. That's also pretty significant. Reduce the mana cost of Scroll of Sealing. That does not matter. This might as well be, this is what like LS calls a placebo buff, where like this doesn't actually affect the hero at all. It's just to make this talent seem better, even though it's not really affecting the power level of it very much. Base kit and earlier talents should have a greater impact on his performance over the entire game. Yes, the problem with Deckard is that he feels too reliant on his talents, I think, to come online, and his base kit feels lackluster, even with Sapphire at 1. So yeah, I like these changes. Deckard, I think, is a lot better now. He was already pretty decent, but now I think he'll be back in the meta pretty decently. Boombox, health of the boombox. That's a very significant increase. That's like 1 or 2 autos for most heroes. Maybe even 3. Probably not 3. Probably just 2. But that's pretty significant. High 5 mana cost decreased. I don't think he had mana cost issues going high 5, so I think that's also like a placebo buff thing. Cooldown reduction per auto attack reduced. This is also like not really an actual change. It probably affects him hitting some sort of threshold breakpoint where he can have a certain uptime overlap on something. Probably his E back-to-back or something, especially with Boombox maybe. I don't know, but decent win rate and pick rates. A couple outliers made some changes to. Higher mana cost of high 5. Continuing to monitor. Oh, the problem with high 5 is if you're using it at level 20 offensively also, that's when the mana cost comes into effect. Okay, this makes sense then. Yeah. This is mostly for the level 20 effect of it. I mean, it affects it at level 10 also, but yeah. Okay, that makes sense. Bonus healing per ally and crossfade reduced. Why did they nerf this talent? This talent wasn't even one of the better ones at level 20, I think. Okay, that's weird. I mean, it was okay, but I guess it needed nerfing for some reason. Rising Storm, this is the... Oh, this competes at the 90% slow. Okay. Casting Lightning Shield on an ally also casts an untalented version on Rhaegar every time shield damages a hero. Damage of both Lightning Shields. So that's up to 15 times. Lightning Bond. So this is basically Lightning Bond. It offered cool gameplay. Clearing minion waves, taking merc camps. Yep. Well, the problem is if it comes at level 16, at that point, you're only looking for talents that win you team fights to end the game. So it increases his minion wave and merc camp taking power, but at level 16, that's way too late in the game for it to actually matter. So this is cool. Like, I like that they're adding this back, but this needs to be maybe at like level 4, and then it would matter. And you could have wave clear instead of healing, but you already have a different, better wave clear talent at level 4, which is the Mana Restore W1, that lets you just wave clear and take camps and stuff and never go and you're entirely self-sufficient, so yeah, okay. Adjusted Stukov's level 1 talents to be positioned in the same order, good. Moved from level 13. Whenever they do this, watch out for this. So what was his level 13? Let me find Stukov here. His old level 13, reactive Multispores. When taking damage below 50% health, instantly spread a weighted pustule to all nearby enemy heroes and reduce the cooldown of Biokill Switch. That's still bad as a level 1 talent. Okay, no wonder nobody ever picked it. And it got moved. Yeah, that talent actually does not help Stukov really at all. He doesn't want to be... If he's in the middle of enough enemy heroes to spread that, then he's dead. So that doesn't help him. Especially when it only activates below 50% health. Bionic armor bonus increased. That's very significant. The problem is this is physical armor. It doesn't say in this talent. Okay, this patch note is misleading because this is a physical armor talent. But still, 75 physical armor is good. Flaming Slate mana cost reduced. The mana cost was never the problem with this talent. It was the cooldown. When Shove is on a 20-second cooldown and Flaming Swipe is on an 80-second cooldown, like, Shove is just the better ult because you can use it constantly. And it, like, the mana cost was not the problem with this talent. Flaming Swipe, they need to reduce the cooldown on it. It does not need to be an 80-second cooldown. It could be 60 or even 50 or 40, and it would be fine. I don't know why they think that would be too strong, but okay. Either that or they increase the cooldown on Massive Shove to like 40 or 50 or 60 or something. Poppin' Pustules moved from level 1. Oh, okay. So this is detonating within close to the expiration, increases damage. But the damage bonus is increased. I still don't think you would pick this. At level 1, I still think you most of the time pick Low Blow and maybe Spine Launcher. Although the Fetid Touch, I think, is also decent. And at 13, you probably go either the cooldown reset, oh no, you go the root probably at 13 still, right? That's the root. Or the persist after it's cancelled thing. Both of those are good. Holy Light mana cost reduced. Yeah, Uther definitely still has mana problems. 80 is still a lot. They could reduce that to like 60, I think, or 65, maybe 70. Somewhere in that range would be better. This still feels very high. Abathur, damage increased on locusts. Shield amount reduced by 7. This is basically not a nerf. Bonus shielding reduced. That is a nerf. Bonus health increased. Let's see. Now increases the range of nest. Okay, that doesn't matter too much. Damage bonus. Healing increased. I still think you're picking Abathur for the Carapace thing. I don't think you're using, like, his locusts much, so I don't think those affect him too much. Mana cost increased on Q. Meh. Ruthless Momentum reduced the mana cost of Telekinesis from 30 to 20. Is this a buff or a nerf? This talent, hold on. From 30 to 20. So it gains less of a reduction. Or is it, but it's not from, like, does Telekinesis now cost 20 mana, or is it only being reduced by 20 mana? This is not clear to me. The wording on this should be better. I don't know whether this is a buff or a nerf. I can't tell whether I'm reading it correctly or not. Okay, whatever. Cooldown recharges faster. Telekinesis' button will now glow when this cooldown bonus is active. Okay. Still think you picked the E talent at level 1, but okay. Beta High Lord. Okay, this is the auto attack one, I think. Maybe there's some sort of weird telekinesis build now that uses him mostly to reposition people, almost like old Garrosh. That could be a thing. It would be weird, though, because he wouldn't have as much E damage to stack up and not have the burst, but maybe, I don't know. Mana cost reduced, mana cost reduced. Neither of those things are what is making Butcher not playable in the meta, but okay. Mana cost reduced. That's a buff to Zeratul. Hello? They're trying to buff his W build, but this only buffs Q build. Okay, you can use W even more often than you thought in Q build now. Would you still want to hold it sometimes, but you can still use it sometimes? Now you can use it slightly more often? Cool. I don't know why they're buffing Zeratul. He didn't need that. Globe, mana cost increased. Yeah, Asmodan's definitely too strong, guys. We gotta nerf him. He's not played at all past Diamond, or Master, or whatever. Mana cost reduced, mana cost reduced. Okay, well these all counteract each other. So they're making him spend less mana pressing other stuff, but more mana spamming Globe. But his whole hero is built around this one ability. And you press these like sometimes. So overall mana nerf, but Azmodan like shouldn't have problems getting globes because he stacks and insta kills waves. So this shouldn't really affect him too much. He's already not that good. I don't know why he needs this. Mana refund, okay? If you want build diversity from Globe of Annihilation, don't rework the hero to be entirely built around being Globe of Annihilation. You can't, it doesn't make sense. Okay, whatever. Think a little more in the early game about casting optimal globes to stack properly. All his level 1 talents need him to stack. He already thinks a lot about that, because he always wants to cast globe optimally. This doesn't make sense. It's like they don't understand how Azmodan works on their own rework. Okay, whatever. Basic attack damage increased. This is a huge Chromie buff. Alert, alert, this is a huge Chromie buff. Oh my god, they should not have done this. Okay, let's keep reading. Damage, Sandblast damage increased. Oh no, that's bad. Okay, but the echo damage was reduced. I mean, that's still fine because they buffed the auto damage so much. Okay, damage increased on Dragon's Breath, cooldown reduced, mana cost reduced. That's nice, she's better wave clear anchoring the lane. Time Trap, mana cost also reduced. That helps her a lot also. Deep Breathing, damage bonus increased from 2. Damage bonus at quest complete increased from an additional 50 to 60. So they're buffing W damage a little bit. No longer provides mana regen. Spell power bonus increased from 5 to 10%. Well, you're still going the Q. Like, they're nerfing all the talents that you aren't picking anyway. What? I mean, they buffed this one a little bit, but you're still never going this talent. Like, this is like 20 extra damage or something, and it stacks a little faster. That doesn't matter. You want the extra echo. And then removing the mana regen doesn't make sense, because this is like the main reason you picked this. I mean, it was also good for the whatever reveal thing, and also this spell damage doesn't really matter that much. The echo gives you way more damage than the spell power does. You only ever picked this for the reveal and the mana regen. But now it doesn't give you the mana regen, so you're only ever picking it for the reveal, but why would you ever pick it for the reveal when you could have echoes? Doesn't make sense. Cooldown reduction increased. So this is, let me find Chromie here. Chromie, where are you? Here you are. Okay, so what does this talent do? Increases the charges at maximum traps and reduce the cooldown. So the cooldown reduction is increased. This is a very strong talent now. But the problem is it's still competing with the armor gain and reduction for your team talent, and that talent is stupid strong also. There's also the movement speed slow one as well. All her level 4, technically level 2 talents are good. They increased the slow on that one. I think this will be a flex pick depending on your team comp of what you want to do, but this is good. All 3 of her level 2, level 4 talents are good. Okay, level 8, this is her ult. Slowing Sands, mana cost reduced. Okay, that's fine. Gnome speed ahead no longer increases mana regen. That was what made it, like, really good. And you're nerfing the mana up here as well. Okay, so Chromie uses a lot more mana now, going that talent. But if you're anchoring lanes better, you can probably get globes better, especially if your wave clear is better, so maybe that's fine. Here and there, this is the echo swap, right? Range increased. Range from which you can teleport to an echo increased from 3 to 4. Cooldown reduced. So this is I haven't used this talent after they reworked it, but it's you don't teleport to the echo directly, you teleport to an area around the echo. And so this is the radius around the echo, and this is from how far away you can do it. I'm not sure what this range is referring to exactly. But this is still a decent buff. I mean, 9 range is already really long. I think you'll most likely go back to picking timeout. Maybe Gnome Speed Ahead is still the pick just because the movement speed is good and the health regen is good at winning trades. So this talent is still probably good. But yeah, the mana regen is a very significant nerf on this. Okay, Shifting Sands. Spell power per enemy hero hit reduced. Or is it per enemy hit? But it is enemy heroes. Okay. And then spell power maximum increased. So you now need to hit 10 things instead of only hitting 5 things. That's a very significant nerf to get the damage bonus on that. Duration reduced. Yeah, okay. So they're nerfing this talent a lot. I don't know why, because it was already like a skill level talent in its strength, but okay. Fast forward cooldown reduced. This is actually a buff. So this is a more cooldown reduction. Range required to hit Sandblast reduced from 70% to 50%. Okay, this is a buff. Well, this is just now probably the talent pick here. Quantum Overdrive. What does this thing do again? It's spell power on an activatable. Duration reduced, cooldown increased, but it reduces the cooldown by 3 seconds. So what's the cooldown of Sandblast baseline? 3 seconds? So this has a 30-second cooldown. So you can hit one hero, activate this, but the cooldown is increased to 45 seconds. You can have this up a high percentage of the time. So this is basically like... But I mean, if you're hitting that many Qs to reduce the cooldown of this, you would still just pick Shifting Sands. And this still isn't even better if you're trying to do a one-shot thing. Okay, so this talent is just straight up worse than Shifting Sands. They need to rework this talent so that it's not competing in this exact same, like, power slot style as her other Q talent. But I'm pretty sure Fast Forward is just a better pick now. And then Unraveling. What is this thing? This is the Slow Sands one. Spell armor reduction increased from 2 to 5 per that time. So now they need to stand in it for 6 ticks, which is 1.5 seconds. And previously they needed to stand in it for like 3.75 seconds or something. So that's very significant that she's reducing spell armor a lot faster. Stuck in a Loop now also increases recharge rate from 500 to 700%. I mean, at a certain point, there's a lot of diminishing returns on that. And especially if you're already taking Fast Forward at 16, I think this becomes less impactful. I think Slow Sands with the spell armor is now a lot better of a talent, but let's see. Okay, they changed Blessing of the Bronze, so this is the important thing. It's now an activatable talent with a 90-second cooldown. Huh, it's almost as if everybody who read that PTR patch note said that this shouldn't be a permanent passive. Weird. Wonder why that went live. It's almost as if they didn't listen to any feedback at all. Until, like, 2 weeks later. Okay, it lasts 8 seconds. Basic ability recharge rate minorly increased. This does not, like, affect anything. Movement speed increased. Okay. And the community saw this coming, so we were ready to pull the trigger quickly on this change. Why didn't you do it on the PTR when we gave feedback about it? Why did you wait? You waited like 2 or 3 weeks to do this. What? That's not seeing it coming and ready to pull the trigger. That's like reacting to it. This could have like ruined the game potentially for a couple weeks. Luckily, people didn't really play New Chromie that much, and people weren't coordinated with her. And because you changed her time trap and her Q and W so much, also that they had to relearn the hero entirely. so that this didn't affect things as bad as it should have. Like, if Chromie had her Q, W, and E the exact same as before, and she got Blessing of the Bronze, she would have been, like, first pick, first ban, perma-banned for these 3 weeks or whatever. But people couldn't land Q, people didn't know how to use her E and play safe, and her W was awkward and easier to dodge, sort of. And she couldn't one-shot people anymore. So because they changed everything else, this was not actually as bad of an impact as it should have been. But yeah, so now she probably just goes back to playing her old style. She gets the slow sand thing, she reduces the armor of people in there and pelts them down with Qs when they're stuck standing there. Rayman, slight mana cost reduced. Well, he doesn't really have that much mana issues anyway, so it's fine. Stormbow mana cost increased. Scatter Arrow mana cost increased. That's actually very significant nerfs to Hanzo. I'm not sure whether he'll actually have mana issues as much still, but those are pretty significant increases. Both of them. So that'll hurt Hanzo a bit. Aether Walker now removes the mana cost to teleport. Developer comment, how about now? GM player comment, still no. Crippling Spores, mana cost increased. Why? Alright. I mean, this is like, Lunara's not OP, you don't need to nerf her. If anything, increase the mana cost of her Q, probably, but okay, whatever. Penetrating Round, mana cost increased. Well, that's very significant, actually. Inspire, mana cost increased. Okay. That's actually the first, like, semi-significant Rainer nerf that I've seen. So now you can't spam Q and W, like, pretty much the whole game if you want. Now you just have to be a little bit mindful of it. But the problem is you already wanted to be mindful of using Q for wave clear and stuff like that, so I don't think this will affect him too much. Maybe a tiny bit. Let's see, Spider cost, mana cost increased by 5, that doesn't matter. Mana cost increased on Concussion Blast. That actually does matter, that's very significant. And Neo Steel Plating. Yeah, okay, this hurts Hammer a lot. Now, Napalm becomes a lot worse because you won't have the mana to spam it as much. And so you probably go back to playing BFG a bit more. Yeah, these are good Hammer nerfs. This is actually, these two combined are good nerfs to Hammer, I think. And she is kind of strong still in coordinated play in teams that don't know how to deal with her, so that's fine. Possession provides cooldown increased or whatever, outperforming other talents in this tier. No, it doesn't. But okay. We're increasing the cooldown, so she has to think more about when to use this effect. Okay, well maybe this will get people to start playing the better auto attack build anyway, so I'll say this is a good change because it nerfs her dagger build, which people shouldn't be playing anyway. Mana cost reduced. Hazel's Jin is still bad. Garrosh is no longer able to throw the payload. They make no mention of the Dragon Knight or the mech. I'm gonna assume both of those got fixed also, and this note just isn't correct. But make sure to note that you fixed all the map interactions and not just the one map. Blizzard, this patch note is not complete. You need more here. Okay, AI no longer has a better understanding of when to attack and when to defend the Immortals on Battlefield of Eternity. Okay, can you make the Immortals have a better understanding of when to attack keeps and when to not attack mid-tower? Thanks. Chromie can no longer use here and there to get outside of Battlegrounds playable area. Yup, that's a good change. Now displays the correct time remaining. Okay. Cyberpunk skins now properly display when the spring event. Okay. Viewing replays generated has been disabled to prevent client crashes. Well, that's annoying. But okay. I mean, viewing those replays is nice. This is not exactly a bug fix. Having to disable viewing replays should be considered a bug itself, and this is not a fix for a bug. This is a bug, but whatever. Alright, whatever. So that's my review of these patch notes. Basically, overall, if we go back to the top here, most people didn't change too much. All the tanks are pretty much the same. The Haka maybe goes Burrow differently. Imperius is relatively the same. Malthael intrigues me. Rexar got nerfed and now you just pick Bird of Prey. The others didn't really get changed too much. Although Urel is maybe a bit better into auto attack based teams. Deckard got decent buffs. Stukov didn't really change. Uther didn't really change. Rhaegar didn't change at all. Lucio got a couple buffs, I think. I don't remember. And Ana, you just don't go grenade at level 4 anymore, most likely. Abathur, they buffed Locust Talents. You still pick him mainly for Carapace. Zeratil's a little bit, tiny bit better. Elrac maybe has a cool build where you go the Telekinesis cooldown based, and you're a very disruption-like positioning-based mage now, instead of like a just burst mage or whatever, but you're still unpickable. Asmodean got nerfed, lol. Chromie is no longer busted in competitive coordinated games if you have a good Chromie player. Hanzo got kind of nerfed. Raynor got a little bit nerfed. Hammer got a little bit nerfed. Dagger build got a little bit nerfed. And the rest, pretty much, you still wouldn't play. And you're still never picking Aetherwalker on Leaming. And cool, that's about it. That's my review for these patch notes.